that regard.
Yep, and just to let everyone know who is still with us, if you haven't done so yet, drop a like on the stream. It's always appreciated. I hope you guys enjoyed watching the draw itself. Alex and I will be talking here for a little longer with you guys, so get your questions and get your thoughts in. A lot to break down. I'll see if I can get a picture of it on Twitter just to bring it up. But yeah, that is it. So I guess we'll start off with the easiest question. I guess, do you agree with this? Alex, Group C is a group of death, and Group D is the group of life. What do you think?
Yes, I agree, because we pretty much drew out a group of death, which was what? It was Panama, it was El Salvador, and it was like, Suriname, right? That's exactly what Group C is. And then we drew out a group of life, which was like Panama, or not Panama. A group of life was Guatemala, Cuba, and one of the ones like, Guyana, Grenada. Canada got that. So it was one where literally it played out as 100% group of death, group of life. And then Group B is tough. I think Group B isn't, like, the fact that Haiti, Honduras, and Qatar, if I'm not mistaken, is in that one. Like, that's a tough group as well. So Group B and C are tough. D, pretty easy for Canada. You can't lie on paper, of course, based on what some of the other teams are offering. And Group A is just solid.
Yeah, I was trying to find something on Twitter to bring up for you guys. It seems like Platt might have had a nice little pathway, which I will try to find. But I don't know, anyone fans of the U.S., Mexico, how are you guys feeling as well? Alex, should we just go through and maybe do our predictions? Just like I kind of rank them one
for the whole tournament
for each one. Yeah, well, yeah, I guess for the groups, just kind of. I know we don't know the teams for three of them. But it's interesting. I've seen a lot of comments, and sorry guys if I can't get to every single one, but a lot of people seem pretty excited about Canada's Gold Cup odds. there's a I'm gonna look up Platt here to see if Ollie put up a
yeah. So it sounds like what he's saying, which I imagine based on the last tournament, if it sticks around, Group D would play Group A, so it's likely a Jamaica, and then as a result, I guess it would. It looks like Mexico is the other option based on how the draw went last year, and then it would have been U.S. in final. So it's kind of opposite of their Nations League draw in a sense.
That is true. I just grabbed the tweet from Ollie. So shout out to Oliver Platt. Follow him if you guys have not on Twitter. But I just stole his tweet because I just did. But yeah, no, that's definitely interesting. Brent says, who is Canada's biggest challenge in Group D? Who do you got, Alex?
Group D, probably Guatemala, I'd say.
Guatemala?
I'd say like they're going to be very organized, and Canada, it's never easy to play a team that might play a little bit more of a low block, play a bit more defensive. Guatemala got good defensive numbers in their League B. Offense, Canada should be able to defend that offense, but yeah, I think Guatemala, I guess it depends. Maybe Trinidad and Tobago get out of that preliminary, but you look at some of the teams they got in that preliminary, they avoid Curacao, they avoid Suriname. Like, it is a very, very fortunate draw. So I'd say, yeah, Guatemala.
Yeah, I just think it was wild when we were trying to come up together of what like a group of life, group of death would look like. I don't know if Canada could have got, and again, like we were talking about this a little bit in the stream, we were trying not to talk over the draw itself, but a lot of the times some fans would like to see a tougher group. So you kind of get that heavy matchup right out of the way. And if you look at a few of these matchups, United States and Jamaica, Nicaragua, and I can't remember who's all in. Is that Curacao who would come out of in Group A?
I guess, yeah, it would be Curacao. I guess Suriname would be the one that comes out of Group C.
So like that's a tougher group for the US, but like they have a nice test against Jamaica, which again a lot of fans like to see. I'm not saying that Guatemala won't cause Canada trouble. I mean, this is a cup competition. You never know what's going to happen. But in all honesty, looking at the groups, I don't know if Canada could have got a better draw than this. They are heavy favorites. You would expect them to go 3 wins, 0 draws, 0 losses, top this group with ease. I'm not saying that they're going to do that. Again, they've been upset in the Gold Cup before, but they're expected to do that. And then there's like Group C that looks very even. That's definitely the group of death. even Group B, like Mexico, like Qatar, they can be a tricky opposition. We know what Honduras can do, Haiti as well. It's just, again, from the Canadian perspective, that is probably, the dream. I don't think that's actually I show speed, but someone was commenting that Guatemala's rising. Yeah, you never know. But yeah, I don't know, man. That's wild. Easy group for Mexico and Qatar. I wouldn't say that, man. Like
I would say don't sleep on Haiti. If you're talking about potential dark horses, like I feel like a team like Haiti could cause problems to Honduras. I think it's a team that could also, we'll see what they do against Qatar. Like I feel like Haiti was a team that got really just tough luck in the World Cup qualifiers. Because if you remember the first round, right, it was the 6 games and the 3 teams went up. It was like El Salvador got a really easy game. They got St. Kitts and Nevis. Curacao, Panama was a bloodbath. I don't know if anyone remembers that. That was like 2021. Like it was, Panama made it through and ended up being one of the best teams in the Ocho. They barely made it past Curacao. And then Canada got Haiti. If Haiti got anyone else, they could have easily been in the Ocho. So I'd say Haiti is a team. Do not sleep on them in that group.
Yeah, and I'm still not. I don't want to take anything away from Honduras because I know, they're trending downwards, but they're still a very tricky nation, and I know there's a lot to like about that group as well. But looking at the groups quickly, I'm just gonna go through and say just the top 2 who I think are going to go through, and then we're gonna pick a dark horse. Alex, we did it beforehand, so we're gonna do it again after. So looking at Group A, I would say the United States and Jamaica are probably the 2 favorites to go through. Do you agree?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, Curacao. I could throw honestly. I'd throw Curacao there in there.
Yeah.
Just, I think they could also. They could be a dark horse out of that group.
That's fair.
Assuming they make it.
Yeah, there's the potential dark horse we're looking for. So we'll keep that one there. Group B, I'm torn. I will probably say Mexico, Qatar, but I mean, I'm not even sold on it. What do you think?
Yeah, it feels like it's Mexico and just like flip a coin, right? Like it feels like whoever can get a good start, who can can Haiti get a win over someone, can Qatar get that early win. I'd say Qatar is the one on paper, but I don't know. I'm just liking something about Haiti. I mean, there's a good point there in the chat. Like, will they get visa issues in the U.S.? That could also impact how I feel about Haiti. Because like a full strength Haiti, and what we've unfortunately seen whenever they've played in the U.S., 2 different stories. So, and I mean Honduras, you never know, but they've underwhelmed at past Gold Cup. So I'd say Qatar and then Haiti. I mean, again, Honduras, I know they're always a top team, but the last few Gold Cups, like I mean. Did they even make it out of the group of their last Gold Cup? Like I remember it was, I'll have to find it, but I remember they underperformed heavily at the last Gold Cup. Oh, they did make it out their group though. They did, but they lost to Mexico 3-0. So, I guess a bit of bad luck in that regard.
That's fair. And Qatar did just compete in a Gold Cup, made it to the semis. I don't think it was the most convincing tournament from them, but regardless, they did show that they can do it in Concacaf as well. Group C, I mean, my dark horse potential with Curacao could be El Salvador, but I will probably just because, basic pick, go Panama, Costa Rica. What do you think? Do you think El Salvador's got something there to cause a bit of an upset?
I do, and I think Suriname as well, if they can make it out, that would just be especially last tournament, Suriname underperformed a bit. They were in a group with Jamaica, and they had a chance to go out against Jamaica, if I'm not mistaken, and get through, and they underperformed a bit. So they'll be kind of used to a tough group. So a team like Suriname as well, I think El Salvador is the more likely of the 2 to cause an upset, but it's a tough group for a reason.
Yeah, and we have a lot of viewers are saying that Mexico, Honduras are going through Group B, which again, I think, like Alex said, you could flip a coin. All 3, I think, have a really good chance. And let's not pretend that Mexico has been crushing it. They are expected to get out of the Gold Cup, but they definitely show that there's some cracks in that team right now. For the other predictions, I saw a couple other ones I was going to say, but I lost them in the chat. Oh, USA, Jamaica. And then for Canada, I will say Canada, Guatemala.
Yeah.
I
think that's reasonable to
feel more confident. So the dark horse pick, guys, let us know in the comment section who your dark horse pick is. to be a little different than Alex, I think I know where he's going. I'll say El Salvador. I think they could potentially cause a bit of an upset. I think that'll be a very intriguing group. It's the group of death. I think we all agreed on, and Group C will definitely be one to keep an eye on. What do you say, Alex?
Yeah, I mean, I like that pick. I'm gonna go Curacao. Just again, I've liked the project they've kind of been putting together, and I mean, Canada saw them firsthand, and feels like Curacao is one of those teams where it feels like if they can get things together, they could be a fun team to watch in the 26 cycle. So I don't know, just in terms of dark horses, because a lot of in terms of teams we don't know much about, I feel like Curacao could be fun.
That's fair. That's fair. They're definitely a good project there. Got Charlie saying, "Let's go El Salvador." Do you did they announce where if Canada will play all 3 of their games at BMO, or has nothing been said on that yet? Got a few. I saw a bunch of questions in there.
They should play at least one. The thing is, with all 15 stadiums they have, usually what Concacaf loves to do is they love to do these double headers throughout the group stage, where it's just you kind of rove around. Because each group has 3 double headers, so that's, if you do the math, that's 3, 6, 12, and then in the knockout stages they kind of pick the best. If hopefully for Canada they'd try to do 2 double headers, it would be nice to get 2 of the games. Unfortunately for them, CONCACAF is probably, if anything, pissed at this draw, because if you're them, you would have loved like a Canada Jamaica at BMO Field. Now, I mean, Canada Guatemala might not have the same appeal in a Gold Cup. So say at least one game at BMO, maybe 2 if all the stars align and they find a way to get it done.
And that's Alex's last contribution because he has to run. So Alex, appreciate you joining us for the stream.
Pleasure.
I'll be here for another 30 minutes or so to talk with you guys. So we're just going to go off of what you guys want to talk about in the chat. And so I asked about the dark horses, and I'm seeing a lot of El Salvador dark horse picks. And I think that's fair. They are an exciting team. And I will see if I can get Gold Cup to put the put a tweet up here of the actual group for us, just for a nice visual. But let me see if I can get that up for you guys. But let's hear your early predictions to win. So put in, who do you think is going to win the Gold Cup? Will Canada find a way to strike some silverware from the first time since the 2000 Gold Cup? Will the United States keep it going? Will Mexico find a way to end their treacherous 2-year spell, even more than that, 2-year spell, 3-year spell, whatever it may be? Let us know. But I'll just be here hanging out with you guys for the next 30 minutes or so. So get your guys' questions in. USA will be the champions, I believe. I would say they're the favorites. I have very high hopes for Canada, but a lot of you guys were asking questions about the Nations League versus the Gold Cup. And I think because Canada is already in the Final Four and because they have a pretty decent draw against Panama to then take on the US or Mexico in the final, I feel like if there will be any eggs in baskets, they will be in the Nations League. I feel like that is the trophy. I don't know. I'm just coming off my opinion, but I feel like that one is set up potentially for silverware for Canada. And then the Gold Cup, I guess we'll have to see, like Alex kind of alluded to as well. Will some players get transfers? Anything like that. So we will have to wait and see. But got a lot of love for Haiti coming in as well. Bye, Alex. It was fun. I'm a Mexico fan, but a fan of how Canada plays. Yeah, they are exciting. It's been an incredible journey watching Canada go on this rise for the past year and a bit. But now is an opportunity this summer for them to find some silverware because, again, you love the banter online, but the United States fans have a good point. They come in and say, you won qualifying. Congrats. You didn't have the best showing at the World Cup. You haven't won a trophy since 2000. So this summer is massive for the Canadian national team. But like I said, I still feel like the Nations League will be the main priority right there. And then we'll see what happens with the Gold Cup. But hopefully they get to put their A squad for both. Well, we will have to see. Josh, are you going to come to Toronto for the Gold Cup? I will try. I don't know, obviously, the schedule and exactly which games will be there. But I would like to go to a Gold Cup match in Toronto if I can. But we'll have to wait and see the time schedules and whatnot. But we'll 100% be covering the match regardless. Will Jamaica have any of their European stars? If so, they can be a dark horse. Yeah, I wouldn't know if I would say dark horse just because I think Jamaica has proven that they have some success in Gold Cups. They've had a couple decent runs. But yeah, I mean, I'm not 100% sure. which stars that they will get. We've seen them at other Gold Cups where they were expecting a bit of a stronger squad and they didn't quite get it, but they had an okay run in the 2021 edition. So I'm expecting a decent team from Jamaica. USA will repeat. Canada will win. Canada second. I hope not. I want to see some silverware this summer. Mexico will be champions. If there's any Mexican supporters in the chat, give me like a percentage of your, like how, give me a percentage of what you guys think if you will win this tournament or not, because I know that there's been a lot of issues going on in the past couple of years, just in terms of results, missing out on major tournaments or missing out on major silverware in these tournaments, not getting into the group stage. It hasn't been fun, not qualifying for the Olympics, but this is an opportunity to get one over on the US. You can do it in the Nations League. You can potentially do it in the Gold Cup as well. So let me know how you're feeling, because it's been, not been the funnest few years for the Mexican supporters, but there's still a strong squad there, and there are some good players. Is the draw over? The draw is over. Let me go. I'm trying to go on Gold Cup on Twitter, see if I can find a visual for you guys so we can kind of break it down, but I don't know why the Gold Cup does not have a picture there. That makes no sense. Let me see what I can do. Gold Cup on Twitter. But get your guys' questions in. Canada's going to win the Gold Cup this year. I'm hoping it. Joel says we can win both trophies. We're the best team in CONCACAF. Look at the confidence, my man. I like it. I like it. We should aim to win everything. Anything less than a final in both tournaments is disappointing in my books. That's the mentality. I mean, it's the mentality that I think a few nations in CONCACAF should have. And I 100% agree with you. I think Canada will go into both tournaments expecting to win, because I just think that's the mentality that they have. I'm not saying that they're going to win, because the United States have a strong team. So do Mexico. It's tournament football. It's difficult, but I 100% agree. That's the mentality Canada needs to have going forward, because they have the players to do so. They have the talent there. It's just whether they can actually, go all the way and bring home some silverware. But it's going to be difficult. And the United States, I think, will be the biggest competition. But if in the last two matches against the United States, Canada, got one over them. They got the draw away from home, and they won at home at Tim Hortons Field. So, recent history, I know that, it's not what they did in the World Cup, but Canada's got to feel pretty good about themselves going up against the U.S. because they just did it. They just had success over them. And same goes for Mexico, taking 4 or 6 points against both. Obviously, things have changed, though. I'm not saying that that means anything. But, Canada, I would say the two nations that should have the most confidence going in here is probably the United States and Canada, for a bit of different reasons. But as a Mexico fan, Mexico isn't a good team at all. I will not be surprised if we get knocked out in the early stages. So not the most confident Mexican fan, but a lot of the Mexican supporters I've talked to as well don't have, a lot of confidence, a lot of love going for their national team right now, which again is fair. They've been underachieving. There is still a lot of talent there, though. Jamaica will have a front line. Antonio, yeah. I mean, if Antonio can stay fit, that would be a pretty decent front line. Liam Bailey as well. But we will see. 50% chances that Mexico will win. It's fair. It's fair. 60%. With a new era, 82% that Mexico will win. We got some confident Mexicans in here as well. That's fair. Yeah, John Herdman will definitely stay at the coach for sure. But all right, Gold Cup, what are you doing? Where is a picture? That's all I want for you guys. Here we go. All right. Thanks, Ben. Let me just share the screen, and we can actually have a nice little visual here. There we go. So let me know what you guys think. I've asked you already a couple times, but group of death, group of life. My opinion is Group C is a group of death. I just think Costa Rica, Panama, they're already creating a beautiful rivalry between each other. They've seen each other a lot. And then El Salvador, I just think, is an up-and-coming, talented nation that could definitely pull up an upset. I'm very intrigued for that group. I think Group A is pretty difficult as well. Nicaragua as well is a fun project. Group B, Qatar, Honduras, Haiti, all difficult sides. And in all honesty, I don't want to beat around the bush, but Canada got their dream draw. Guatemala, Cuba. It's and like a plum one as well. So we don't know exactly who it's going to be, but have to feel pretty good. Jamaica can upset the US. Qatar can upset Mexico. Guatemala can upset Canada. They can. Like I said, this is a cup competition. This is where upsets are tend to happen. But again, if you're just going on prediction and where you what you expect on paper, those three nations still should be pretty. But Jamaica is dangerous. 9 of their 11 players play in the Premier League. Yep, if they can get a full squad of everyone who's available to them, Jamaica could definitely be a scary team. 100% agree. 33% chance for each Mexico, Canada, and I like that. I like that question, Nathan. What are you guys' thoughts on someone else besides these three winning the Gold Cup? Because I like what you did there. You split it. I would honestly lean a little bit more Canada. I mean, again, we don't 100% know what these squads will look like, but I think that's fair. I'm expecting one of the three to win. I probably assume that USA would be the favorites by a little bit over the other two. But do you see like a Costa Rica, Panama, Jamaica causing some type of upset and maybe going to a final? Group of C is the group of death. Agreed. I agree. I definitely agree there. All right. Group B equals group of death. Said a lot of you guys for sure have said Group C. So Group B is tough though. I do agree with that. I don't think Honduras, just because they've been underachieving for a little bit, I still think that they have a lot of talented players. They know this region well. Qatar had just proved that they can, do some damage at a Gold Cup. And Haiti's just a difficult team. Like I get where you're coming from. I just think I think maybe just like it's skewed a little bit with Mexico. I think Costa Rica, Panama, El Salvador are a little bit more around the same level, but I don't know. It's interesting. Most balanced. That's a good way of putting it. But not a real group of death. That's fair, Neil. I think that's a fair comment. Group C is the most balanced, but no real group of death. And the most balanced means probably the most interesting. So that is probably why I agree with you. The way that it works is top two from each group go to the quarterfinals, and then quarters, semis, finals. Guatemala can top their group and make it to the finals. I like the confidence. Concacaf as a region, guys, is getting better. 100% it is. And a lot of these nations have proved in the past and I think will show from the future as well that they can be difficult. Guatemala, Cuba will cause Canada some issues as well. Like I said, just on paper and the way that I'm expecting Canada to perform, I would say that they're the favorites to top this group. But there's an upset that can happen at any time. And we've seen it time and time again. I remember way back when I started just going on YouTube and talking about Canada, I had a lot of Honduran fans out there that did not like my CONCACAF World Cup predictions, where I put Canada 4th. And I think I can't remember where I put Honduras. I think I put them 5th or 6th, and I got roasted. Because Canada, again, didn't really prove that, that they were going to be one of the best in World Cup qualifying, that they would maybe just slide into that 4th spot. So a lot of incredible storylines will continue to happen because CONCACAF in general is just getting better. And that's, members of this region, that's exactly what we want to see. So I 100% agree upsets can happen at any time in this tournament. But like I said, if you're just talking about favorites and looking on paper, I would expect Canada, Guatemala to go through Group D, Costa Rica, Panama, Group C. I'm torn more on Group B, I really am, but I would still say Qatar and Mexico and then Jamaica in the United States. Other than USA, Canada, and Mexico, I see Panama, Costa Rica, or Qatar. Yeah, Qatar's, you can honestly say that they're dark. I have no idea what kind of squad they're going to send to this Gold Cup. They have sent their best in the past, so I would expect a pretty strong Qatar squad. But we'll have to see. Give your head a shake if you seriously think Guatemala can beat Canada. Upsets can happen. But, I wouldn't bet against it. I think Canada, if we're talking about Canada really taking that next step, again, I'm hoping, praying that they could do some damage in the Nations League and hopefully, win that competition. But I'd expect this group to be straightforward. 3 wins, 0 draws, 0 losses, business done, move on and go from there. And that's just no disrespect. That's just where the step I think Canada has taken these past few years. I think that they should be at the top. They should be battling with the best of them in this region. And yeah. But there's some confidence going behind Guatemala here. Mexico should reach the semifinals at least in this tournament against Canada. Any word on scheduling? They did just, I think they said right at the end of the live stream that the scheduling, I don't remember exactly what they said. Is it going to come out like the next day or two? Honestly, not 100% sure. What do you think about Haiti? Well, being a Canadian, we have a lot of experience against Haiti, and we saw what they did against us in the Gold Cup, in the quarterfinals. They're a tough nation. I was very worried about them in the current World Cup, or the Concacaf World Cup qualifying when we had to take them on in that 2-leg affair. They're a tough team. They are. They're just, I mean, I genuinely could see them be a very difficult team for Honduras, Qatar, even Mexico in that group. I think that those 3 all have a very good opportunity to potentially to make it out. I just don't know where to lean because, again, it's difficult. You don't know what kind of squads for the Gold Cups because in the past you've seen, the United States just sent a B/C squad. Now I'm not saying that Haiti will do that, but Alex was talking about visa issues as well. It's really hard before looking at the roster and even talking about Canada. I mean, the last Gold Cup, if you guys don't remember correctly, Davies and David weren't there. That takes out a huge chunk. That takes out, one player's worth 70 million euros. The other one's worth 60. Having 2 of those players out, that completely changes the way that the Canadian men's national team look during the tournament. Kyle Larin went down with an injury. So, just on paper right now, fully strength, Canada looks deadly. But again, same as any nation, you don't know exactly what they're going to look like going into this tournament. But I'm going to speak as if each nation is going to send close to their A squad because I just think, for right now, why not? Group C looks brutal. It does. And Neil, shout out to Neil in the chat, said it, I think, the best. He just said it's not like it's a insane group of death that landed Canada, United States, Costa Rica. It's a very balanced group, and it's going to be, I think, very difficult for all 3 games, all 3 matchups, especially if Curacao makes it into that one. That will be or Suriname. I don't have it in front of me. I think it's Suriname. Suriname for Group C and Curacao for Group A. So if Suriname makes it into that group, that could be very tricky. Because as Canadians, we saw Suriname as well, and we know that they've gotten a lot better, recruited some good dual nationals as well. Someone answer my question. I don't know. Don't know when the scheduling is yet. I don't remember what they said at the very end. Josh, Trinidad and Tobago. I hope they qualify. It's nice to see Trinidad back in. Josh, bro, we want to know the quarterfinal format. Is it 1A, 1B? So guys, I don't 100% know. Let me go in the last edition, I believe, was not 1A versus 2B. Let me just pull it up here quickly for you guys. I'm pretty sure it was, I think it was 1A versus 2C. Give me a sec. I'll pull up the last Gold Cup and we'll take a look. And I don't know if they changed it, but in the last edition, so Canada played Costa Rica. So Costa Rica topped Group C and Canada was B. So again, I don't know, guys, fact check with me, but in the last edition of the Gold Cup, it was 1A versus 2D. Is that right? Yes, it was. It was Mexico against Honduras. Yeah. So, I mean, if you're going off the last edition, it would be 1A versus 2D. So it would be Canada taking on Jamaica. What did Platt say? Let me go back to Ollie. if I got that correctly. What did Ollie say? Yeah, so I'm right. All right, so anyone who's wondering how the quarterfinals will work, obviously the top 2 from each make it onto the quarterfinals, and then it is 1A versus 2D. So Ollie said here that Canada's pathway to the Gold Cup would be Jamaica in the quarters, if Jamaica obviously finishes second, Mexico in the semis, and then USA or Costa Rica in the final. So that's a pretty tough test. So that means that it would be 1B versus 2C. So there you go. I hope that helped. And that's how the last one. I'm looking at my phone. If anyone. That's how the last one was as well. It was A versus D, B versus C, and considering that's online, I'm guessing that is it. So there you go. I did my best. Thanks, Josh. Thanks. No problem, guy. I hope I helped. Yes, Neil. There we go. We got it, guys. We worked as a team. I liked it. Yeah, so the Canadian fans out there, let me know what your thoughts are. Do you think Canada will send a side to this Gold Cup? I know it's way too early. It's very hard to tell, but tournaments like this in the past, you sometimes see. I mean, I genuinely think John Herdman wants to win both. I think the players want to win both. It's just other factors can come into play, transfers, injuries, the fact that the semis and finals of the Nations League will be pretty quick or pretty close to the Gold Cup. So like I said, that's just my opinion, is that I think Nations League takes the top priority because we're already in the semis, got the good matchup going. I'm curious, and I'd like to see, depending if we don't, let's just say we take like a B+ squad, A-. I think there's opportunities there for guys like I'm trying to think of one. Victor Laturi, I think, would be a big one. I would like to see Dane St. Clair get minutes. Maybe you go Ike Ugbo. I like the fact that we went out and we got Ike because it just adds depth to the striker position. But I think he needs to sort out his club situation this summer, and that's kind of like where I was going to. And this can affect American players as well, Mexican players. It can affect any players. But if you're going for a transfer and you're in a predicament, and we'll use Ike Ugbo as an example. Ike Ugbo is having, in all honesty, a disastrous season. He had an unbelievable end last season with Troyes when he was on loan there. He scored goals. He helped them stay up. He got signed. He got signed late, so it was hard for him to kind of find a way to get into this Troyes side, and he was on the bench. He went, I believe, off if my memory serves correctly, pretty sure 12 games. He hasn't started a match, I think, since November. So it was just an atrocious season. They're going to get relegated. He's not playing. He needs to find a new home. And sometimes that can be difficult. Like I said, he played well for Troyes last year. He wanted to go to Troyes, and it took them a long time to sign him, so much so that it affected basically the way that he trained and led up and got fit for the season. So someone like Ike Ugbo this summer, I think priority number 1 should be finding a new club, finding somewhere where he can go, where he can have some success and work his way back to full fitness, work his way back into whatever team he's playing for, and then the national team, instead of going to a tournament and then jeopardizing. Now, the move happens early and it gets figured out before summer, great. Then jump into the Gold Cup or whatever and hope that you can get minutes. But for someone like Ike, for example, I think a transfer will be very important this summer because this was almost a wasted season for him, and Troyes are getting relegated, so I'm assuming he will be on the move. I saw a tweet as well from a U.S. men's national team account that talked about a lot of players that need transfers this summer as well, and it's wild because a lot are in not great predicaments, which means that, again, a tournament like the Gold Cup could be just set aside a little bit. And you saw it even last year with the Americans. When they won the Nations League, they had that A squad for the Nations League. It was an incredible final against Mexico in 2021. And then they went on to the Gold Cup, and then they won that with a BC squad. So the Gold Cup can always be a little bit weird with the type of squads that Canada, Mexico, and the USA could send. And Joel says Ao Akinola could be another good example. I don't think Akinola will be so much so trying to get that move, but we will see. Neil says Leo will probably look to sell Jonathan David. Yeah, I mean, that's a big one. Jonathan David, it's being talked about already like he's going to move. AC Milan, small link there. Arsenal, Leipzig apparently can't afford him. They're going for Balogun. So Lille are talking as if Jonathan David won't be in there. So that's to find a player who's, hopefully going to score over 20 goals this season in Liga, who's got a 60 million euro price tag on him. He's gonna have to find the club. This is the summer for him to get that move. So that, again, similar to Ike Ubo, but for different reasons, finding that move for Jonathan David is going to be very important, and potentially might be a reason that a Gold Cup may or may not happen for him. But again, Nations League, I think no matter what, Canada's going to send their best. It's 2 games in Vegas. That's going to be an A team for sure for Canada, for probably the United States, Mexico, and Panama. It's just the Gold Cup can sometimes change a little bit depending on what's going to happen. Will the USA bring their A team as well? I mean, if you go off of what they did in 2021, they brought their A team to the Nations League because, again, it just makes sense. You have 2 matches to win a trophy. You do. That's exactly, that's the mindset I'm assuming that Greg and company went through. They won their semifinals. They won their finals. They had their A squad. They celebrated in an incredible final. And then they gave a lot of those guys the summer off, whether it was because they wanted it, they needed to find a transfer. I don't know what the reason was, but then they brought what was predicted to be a BC squad, and then they went on and won the Gold Cup. So I would expect the U.S. to probably take the Nations League just as seriously and bring their A squad, and then whatever happens in the Gold Cup. Maybe some of their A players want to be there. I mean, a player like Christian Pulisic's in a similar boat that I'm assuming he wants a transfer. He needs a transfer, and he may be a player who missed out on the Gold Cup for that reason. Or you have a player like, I'm trying to think of someone who's established, like maybe if Leeds doesn't get relegated, maybe like a Tyler Adams that participates because he's already where he needs to be. But yeah, I don't know. Lucas Cavallini. Cavallini's done pretty well since going to Liga Mexi. I mean, considering he didn't get called up in the last window, despite playing pretty well for Cholos, I don't know if they're maybe stepping away from it. I don't 100% know, but I don't think we've seen the last of Lucas Cavallini. No. So I don't think there's been any word on the scheduling itself and where the games will be played. I believe right at the end of the stream, I literally exited out as I think they were just about to say it. I think the scheduling will be announced and where the matches will be in the next day or so. Correct me if anyone else was on the stream and heard differently. Oh, there you go. Sandy, thank you. So I guess the next week or so. So why have these tournaments the same summer? I don't know. I mean, it's brand new. The Nations League just had the Concacaf Nations League just had its first edition. And that's just what we saw. I'm using the U.S. as an example. Now, Mexico brought an A squad to the Nations League and brought pretty close to an A squad to the Gold Cup and then lost to the U.S. That's why the U.S. were having a lot of fun. So like I said, I don't know. I don't know if that was just a one-off and maybe it'll be different and the USA will bring a full-fledged A squad. So will Canada. I don't know. I'm just going off of kind of how I interpreted the last Nations League followed by the Gold Cup. And that is that the United States definitely took, because it's 2 matches. You have 2 matches to win that trophy and they did it. And then maybe the players wanted it off. There's also a World Cup coming up. So I don't know if that changed anything. Players could have wanted transfers or injuries or whatever it may be. But yeah, they brought their C squad and won. But Mexico did. Mexico brought pretty close to their A squad for that Gold Cup. It didn't win. And they brought a squad to the Nations League and didn't win. So I think that Canada will take the Mexico route. John Herman wants to win and wants to be competitive. I think they'll have an A squad for sure for Nations League and pretty close to an A squad for the Gold Cup. It will depend on, like I said, storylines like Jonathan David getting a move. Maybe Tajon Buchanan has interest as well. Someone like Alphonso Davies wanted to play in the last Gold Cup and didn't. I mean, I don't think he's leaving Bayern anytime soon. So that's why I mean certain players, depending on what they want to do this summer, could or could not be in. So we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully, like I said, Jonathan David, Ike Ugbo, a lot of these guys get that transfer figured out early into the summer. They don't got to worry about it. But the longer the summer goes on, and a big signing like a Jonathan David could take a little bit more time. But hopefully, big name comes in and snaps him up, and we can have him for both tournaments. We'll have to wait and see. But it's a good question. But yeah, I mean, we will see. We will see. I think there are some opportunities though for young players. I think Brim, who's having an excellent season. John Herman. I know John Herman likes Brim. I know he talks him up because he just likes what he's been able to do, and I think that he'll have a good opportunity to probably be in the next call up. I would expect for the Nations League, just given his performances. I'd like to see Farsi, another player in MLS that's really shining. I'm not so sold on like a Liam Miller, Theo Corbiano right now, just given their form. Again, these are like Theo Corbiano is a very, very highly rated youngster, but he just had such a difficulty to getting sent out on loan like this to find a place where he starts consistently. He's been performing. He's playing in the second division right now in Germany, and he's coming off the bench for Arminia Bielefeld in the last anywhere in the last 10, 15 minutes. And it's hard to develop a youngster like that. I'd almost like to see him just get a move. Maybe he gets moved to the Netherlands, goes to the Eredivisie, finds a club, locks down starting minutes, and goes from there. Bayern may put pressure on Davies to skip the Gold Cup so he can get a long rest before the next season. Yeah, he could, but I mean, considering that Davies wanted to play in the last Gold Cup and how much he loves playing for Canada, I feel like if Davies wanted to play in the Gold Cup, he would be playing in the Gold Cup. I don't think, Bayern can say what they want, but I'm pretty confident that he will be fine. And I believe it's not like the only real pressure you can do is for the Olympics. Remember, Edson Alvarez was supposed to play for Mexico at the Olympics, and Ajax said no, so then he just went and played at the Gold Cup. Alphonso Davies wanted to play at the Gold Cup, wasn't able to do so. So I have a feeling that Davies will probably play in the Nations League and the Gold Cup as long as he is fully fit and ready to go. It's just Davies' mentality, my man. I'm going to be the ball boy at the Forge game tomorrow. All right, well, for anyone who is going to keep an eye on the OneSoccer YouTube channel, I will be doing another match vlog for the Forge game tomorrow. So I will be at the Forge game. So if you see me, come talk to me. We'll be with the Barton Street Battalion doing the march to the stadium. It's going to be a lot of fun. So if you, like I said, you do see me and you want to be involved in the vlog, just come on up. So Nate, if you're the ball boy, just come in. I should be around. I should be pitch side. So just come give me a tap. Be like, hi Josh, I'm Nate. I'm the ball boy, and I'll get you in the video. Corbiano did well at Blackpool, but since he's gone to Germany, yeah, I don't understand really why he left Blackpool. It seemed like he was getting a decent amount of minutes. I believe he had 3 goals and an assist, which for the amount of minutes he was getting, it was a decent level for him. So I was surprised, and I thought by going to Bielefeld that he literally would have just. But it's difficult to get that move in January and then just walk into a squad. That's why January transfers can be so dangerous. Like pitcher back, you might forget it, but Stefano Eustachio had a very difficult time walking into that Porto side. He had to really work for it. We've seen Richie Larea's January transfer that did not go according to plan. But then we've seen some incredible January transfers like Alistair Johnston. So, each scenario is a little bit different. But when you're a lone player, especially when you're a lone player and you come into a club, it's kind of harder to want to, unless you immediately make an impact from wherever you do, and probably the limited cameo you have on the pitch. It's sometimes very difficult to walk into a squad like that. So we will see. But DJ is saying that they're in the same summer because they have Nations League every year, except for World Cup year. So this year we have the Nations League and Gold Cup, and next year we have the Nations League and Copa America. Copa America is going to be sensational. I'm so excited for that tournament. Massive step towards Concacaf and CONMEBOL working together, because I just think that each region needs one another, and I'm hoping that this relationship can keep going, because the more we play nations like Brazil, Argentina, Uruguay, Colombia, the better. And I'm very excited for it. But Larea, I will go back to that one. Settled players move for 2 reasons. Move for a higher league or for more money. Could be, or I think there's a little bit more reasons that I would argue. I mean, yes, they earned the right to hopefully move to a bigger league. I would throw a player like Jonathan David in that category. He's done it in Liga. He's succeeded in the 3 seasons he's been at Lille. It's time to go to, yes, a more established club, a bigger league, La Liga, Bundesliga, Premier League, for more money. That's why Ronaldo went to Saudi Arabia. Let's not kid ourselves. That's why he went there. But I think game time is another important one. And I would throw, like I said, Ike Ugbo. Or if your team gets relegated, so it gets a fourth. But Ike kind of fits in both. He's not getting game time. His team will get relegated, and he needs to find a new club. But I guess he would put the relegation into a higher league because he would slip down and go up. But Ugbo is just not getting the minutes he needs. I would even throw Theo Corbeano in there as well. But Joel said Larea has to go back to Europe this summer. He's way too good for a lifetime MLSer. Yeah, I'm curious to see what Richie will do. I think he could definitely cut it in Europe. I think in several different leagues. It's finding that right spot. And we just talked about like different examples. Alistair Johnston is the peak of what a January transfer or a player from MLS going to Europe looks like. Richie, unfortunately, is the poster boy for what could go wrong. And hopefully, if he does go back, he finds a club that wants him. Maybe he goes at the beginning of the year, the beginning of the season. I think that would be better than going at the beginning of the year in January, because it gives you an opportunity to break in right away, get a good preseason in with the boys, and go from there. But we will see. Do we almost hope that Forest gets relegated? That'll be the last question of the day. I've gone back and forth. on whether I want to see them get relegated or not. I don't know. I don't want to hold too much of a grab. I just hope that, like I said, if Richie does move on, that he can find a club where he will, be happy. But guys, that will be the end of the stream. I really hope you enjoyed hanging out with Alex and I while we were here. If you enjoyed the draw, I think in terms of being a Canadian supporter, you'll be very happy with the draw that we actually had, the group that we had. I think Canada are heavy favorites to go through that. It's going to be a massive summer, hoping to compete for both the Nations League and the Gold Cup. And hopefully at some point we can be celebrating together on the stream. And if you're going to the Forge game tomorrow, try to find me. I will be there. We're doing a match vlog. Very excited about it. And hopefully we'll talk to you guys soon. Appreciate you guys all. Drop a like on your way out. Drop a sub if you haven't, and we'll see you soon. Cheers, friends.